Okay, so apparently something crawled up Ajathakween's butt about Nina Bonina Brown's comment from last week in her their live with Mystique, and they decided to go live today and stir up more controversy with this issue. Here's the thing I want to say. I'm really tired of everybody acting like they're perfect. I'm really tired of everyone acting as if um, everything they do that they've been accountable for and that they can be in this position of holding other people accountable for. I'm sick of people policing everyone's words to the point that the person that they even believe has been hurt by these words they haven't included a person or a person who has been affected in the conversation. Like, to me, reach out to a person who is a Nina Bonina follower who left because of that transgression. No pun intended. The I just don't understand why, if you're within this, the world of RuPaul's Drag Race performers, that you can't figure out a way to reach out to Nina and have this conversation fully, instead of going on with just your followers and giving them your perspective on their perspective from snippets of conversation from a person they may or may not follow, who, if I'm not mistaken, you know more about what they faced as a POC in that community than anybody else because you were part of that drama before. It really just pisses me off. I just feel like we need to use our better faculties. What Nina Bonina Brown joked about with Gottmik could have been perceived a lot of different ways. I didn't see it as transphobic because honestly, I thought the comedy was about the body. It was like an anti-body shaming sort of double entendre. I didn't see transphobia. If a person who was trans had brought it up, I would have listened to what they said and taken it into account. I have not heard a trans person yet. First of all, there's not a lot of trans people with who've gotten into the algorithm on YouTube enough to pop up, and I don't think a lot of them really do cross over with the RuPaul's Drag Race world. I do think a lot of trans people do try to separate themselves from drag culture and a lot of gay culture because they aren't always non-binary. They do see the gender as a binary, and they are trying to cross that binary. That is a fact for a lot of trans people. I don't agree with that. I look at myself as non-gender conforming, non-binary. I don't believe so much that gender is this black and white thing. I know plenty of people who physically, spiritually, intellectually, emotionally, whatever, cross and blur those lines energetically. So I just don't really understand why you would take the time a week later to kick this dust back up towards um, Nina. I just feel like there's a better way to use our time if you're fighting for the human rights of all LGBTQIA people and redirect things towards trans rights. Dominique Jackson posted something on her Instagram today that someone, that another Dominique Jackson, a trans woman in Mississippi, was killed um, recently. Or that was a repost. I'm not sure, but I didn't know about this. And this brought awareness to another POC trans woman who has died and this ongoing genocide of trans women of color. That is a great way to use your time. There are, the military ban was lifted. Talk to a person in the military who's trans who, is. dealing with discrimination in battle zones. I mean, I just want to hear more than this policing of people's content and not excuse me, not agreeing with their humor. It's enough. It's like, I don't know, I just find it so negative, especially coming from a person who has had a completely, an arc that you would have had to follow minute by minute. As far as I know, Ajathakween still goes by Ajathakween, is no longer Ajathakween, no longer performs in drag. It has turned to other ways of making money. I believe that they do music and they do adult content on OnlyFans. And from what I hear, they are no longer performing as Ajathakween. But I feel like that's an arc you would have had to follow to understand what you're coming where you're coming from. There are people who are going to be offended that a show that has 12, 13-year-old fans is, promoting this type of way of making money. There are people who would want to keep their children away from that. That is worth a discussion from you. Not what somebody else is doing with their content on their page with their followers. I just don't understand why you would follow somebody just to not confront them and then pathologize what they're doing to a point of, like, you called it erasure, you called it all these things. I just feel like it's spiteful and a little devilish when you are within the circle of outreach that could reach out to this person. I almost feel like what you're doing is deflecting your ability to communicate effectively with people that you do have the earshot of, and you're blaming them instead of blaming yourself. That was a person in your circle who you could have educated that you miseducated. You were part of the problem. You're directly part of the problem now that you know this person. So it's like a person walking around with toilet paper in their shoe, and somebody says that person don't have no friends. If you haven't befriended Nina Bonina Brown after being part of their season, being a part of their drama, and now you're wanting to create content based on contradicting things that they say, I feel like it's a bit parasitic, and it's not helping the issue. You could talk with them. Aja could talk with Nina faster than I could. Aja could talk with Gottmik faster than I could. Aja could talk with Mystique faster than I could. So, if you're going to hop on your live and get mad about Nina Bonina Brown making an unsavory joke about a trans person or making an unsavory comment in your belief about trans people, which is ridiculous, because the thing that I heard popped out was that one of the things that Aja highlighted was that Nina said that real trans people don't want to be mixed in with drag queens. I didn't take that literally. I didn't take it literally as just like Nina was defining what real trans people are. First of all, a person just saying those things doesn't make it so, period. It's not a medical definition they're going at. But the implication is clear. The implication is that the trans people that Nina Bonina Brown has come across resent drag performers because people often want to call them drag queens, and they are not performing their lives. They're trying to live their lives. That is something I have also heard from trans people who are real. So if you call them real trans people, that's not the slight. It really pisses me off to want to drill that into people's heads, that Nina Bonina Brown is just this ignorant person making ignorant statements when you're part of the ignorance that created this whole cauldron of mess. Like, either let the person say what they're going to say and try to have some understanding and some empathy about what they're saying, get to their meaning, translate for them, don't speak for them, or maybe speak to them, or maybe just like leave it alone and then talk about things like be an antidote to transphobia you see. I just don't understand how we're going to progress. Like 10 years ago, there was very little conversation about trans representation. We're in a totally different day now. I think we need to step up and do better. We do not need to keep stepping on people for using wrong political language at wrong times when they're just speaking to their constituency and people who understand, because you're insulting the people in their constituency. I'm a non-binary person who follows Nina Bonina Brown for their artistry and their sense of humor. Yeah, it could be a little salty sometimes and a little raw and a little off, but that's what I like about her. I don't follow Ajathakween as much anymore because I don't see the artistry as much anymore, but it did pop up on my timeline because I was following you for artistry, and I what I just got was a bunch of bullshit. Like you really need to just do what you can from where you're at to rectify the situation with a person you know. That's all.